Imagine this. You're an architect, but you only design and work on smaller buildings. And you work tirelessly at your job, and you get paid nothing. But there's another architect who works on large skyscrapers and still works hard for his job, but gets paid millions of dollars instead. Now, that doesn't make sense to me, but that's what happens for college sports. Now, many of you watch college sports or may participate in college sports next year. Now, I think what makes sense to me is at least athletes who make money for their university should earn some of that too. So I'm going to explain the rules why NCAA doesn't let that happen, some people who may have cheated the system, and some proposals that have been out there that maybe you guys should help me with. All right, the first thing I'm going to go over is the NCAA rules. And the main rules is that the NCAA athletes cannot have contracts with professional teams at all. They can't earn prize money, and they cannot have a salary for the sport that they are participating in. Now, I understand the contracts with professional sports teams because then you are a professional at that point, but earning a salary for doing your craft and working on it, and what most athletes would do is they go to school and then you go to practice basically till the night. You work hard at your sport and you work hard at what you do. Now, to me, it would make sense to pay them for that, considering they don't really have time or anything else to do to get money. For the prize money part of it, imagine you're part of the KU basketball team and you make it to the Final Four. Now, the players in there have helped the team reach that, but the players don't really make any of that money. If anything, it's just the traveling and maybe the food they get at that time. But other than that, the university gets all of that money, which is absurd. The next part would be and the next part is that they don't get endorsements either. They can't have endorsements with like Nike, Adidas, and all that. The colleges get to have those endorsements, but they just slap the players on there too. And the players get none of that. And if a player would accept an endorsement from Nike or something like that, that would immediately kick them out of the college, restrict them from getting anything from the college, and which immediately toss them off, like free agency for football and stuff like that. And imagine like you're on the NFL team, you're going to the national playoffs for the championship. Even those players get nothing from that. And you would expect the tens of millions of dollars that the college would get, the players would be able to get some of that. The next thing is the athletes that abuse the rules. I have two really good examples here. The Fab Five. Some of you may know who this is. They're a Michigan basketball team that just blew up in the 1990s. They were amazing. They just took the world by storm. And Chris Webber was part of that team. He's an NBA Hall of Famer. Played with the Trailblazers. He was really good. All of that. But in college, he made a comment about how his jersey was making more than he was making as a person, and how that he got none of the royalties from that at all, and how that would have helped him out so much in just normal life if he was able to get any of that money. Also, Jalen Rose was part of this team, right there. He was doing very much illegal stuff to get money because he couldn't have money otherwise. And us being able to pay these people and help them out would help us just keep these students in line while they can go through their college degree, get college, and play their sport. Another example is Udoka Azubuike. I think I'm pronouncing that correct. He's a KU basketball player, obviously, this year. He played, he's from Nigeria originally, and he came over here to play basketball. But not being able to do any jobs or get money and all that, he wasn't able to have his parents come over to the U.S. and watch him. And like, if that was my kid, I would love to watch him play basketball, just in person. That would mean so much. But him not being able to have any money, he wasn't even able to have his parents come down and see him, which is honestly just really sad here, because I think it was the Final Four when they finally were able to, and the NCAA made a big deal out of it, but realistically they could have been helping them out from the beginning. The next part I'll talk about is the proposed methods to help students out. This is Steve Spurrier. He was a former football coach for the University of Florida. I think it was in 2012 is when he got a $800,000 pay raise. And what he wanted to do was pay each of his players $300 for playing a game. And I'm like, my thought on this was, if he's willing to pay that for his players, that's awesome. He wants to help them out, and he sees the reason and the problems behind it. But the NCAA were like, no, they never had none of that. So he wasn't able to do that. And what makes no sense is this is for just March Madness on TV. It's making more than NFL, NBA, MLB, and NHL in just straight money for that. And I thought this was really cool too, how CBS and Turner Broadcasting, they paid $10.8 billion for 14 years of 3 weeks of TV. And that's all went to the NCAA, and none of it went to the players. Imagine just how much $300 would be for $10.8 billion. It's insane to think about how much money was just dumped into this, but none of it makes it to the players. And these are just two things that, it's just crazy. Another part of it, I read an ESPN article, and somebody had said, hey, you can compensate the star athletes. AJ Green, he plays wide receiver for the Bengals right now. He was a star for Georgia when he played, and he had sold a game-worn jersey, and the NCAA went after him, and they were not letting him have that. He was, I think he was banned for like a couple games or something like that, but something like that, it's you wore it. Why couldn't he sell it and make royalties on it? Because they're not even letting him do that, which is, it should be his choice, honestly. But these are some things that the proposals that I've seen that haven't even been able to go anywhere, which makes no sense to me, but we can actually do something about this. It's something that's still going on now, and it's been going on for a while, since that was 2012. And it's something that we can go and just bombard like NCAA's Twitter. Imagine how like that got trending on Twitter, that people would notice it, see it, and I bet most of you agree with me. I've talked to some of you, and you all agree that NCAA players should get paid for doing this. I mean, a lot of people get paid like $84 million just to play the sport. And it's insane to think that these kids don't get paid. So, thank you for listening.